Okay, I thought I'd do a short video about dollar store LED lights in the USA. That's at 120 volts. There's lots of videos like by Big Clive and many others that cover the voltages around Europe, or 220 volts and 240 volts and stuff like that. Our bulbs are a little bit different in their construction inside, and so picking the best one to get the most light and life for your money I thought might be an interesting video. So I went to the dollar store and it picked up what they're selling as a 60 watt equivalent, and they're claiming it's 800 lumens, and actual wattage, what's it saying there? They're thinking 9 watts. Well, I have tested the light, and it's actually drawing 63 milliamps at 120 volts AC, so that would actually be 7.66, so almost 8 watts. And they were saying 9, so it's a little bit under what they're saying, but that can be a good thing. But the bad thing about it is, of course, in America, that means they're only giving you 8 LEDs in there. And you've got a fairly small bridge rectifier and a very small current control device for this whole thing. And prying these apart isn't that hard. If you just go around with a screwdriver, you'll find one place where you can finally pop them loose, and when you're done, you can snap them back together. The sense resistor in here for setting the intensity is right here. In this case, I wrote it down. It's a 4 ohm resistor. I've done videos myself where I've replaced that resistor with a trim pot, which I could reach through the globe and adjust to any brilliance I wanted. So for example, you could double that 4 ohm to an 8 ohm or 10 ohm or something, and then this bulb might actually last a long time, and it might give you enough light for what it is you're trying to do. But they're trying to push these 8 LEDs hard enough and hot enough to get 800 lumens, and that's why they tend to burn up and fail in short order. Now, I'll screw this into this lamp socket over here, and hopefully it won't flood out the camera because I've got it over to the side on purpose. Here it is in case you want to see. Plenty bright. But here is the voltmeter set in the current mode, and maybe if I zoom in, well, might help if I had it in the right setting. There. That's better. So if it shows up on the screen right, it says it's fluctuating between 63.8 and 64 milliamps. So that's what the stock bulb is drawing. And we already know bulbs don't last that long because I've gone through a lot of these. They don't last anywhere near as long as a regular filament bulb would. So yeah, the videos I've done, you can turn them down and make them last longer, but they're not as bright. So I decided, well, what the heck? Let's buy one of their 100 watt equivalents. And this 100 watt one they're claiming will put out 1500 lumens, and it's going to consume an actual 14 watts. And so this is the stock bulb here. And if you look inside, now you've got something going. Now, instead of 8 LEDs, you've got 18 LEDs. And check out the size of the regulator, the current regulator. Much beefier, much bigger. So you've got more LEDs, you got a better regulator, you have 2 current adjusting resistors. They both happen to be 3 ohms, which means, and they're in parallel. So it means you can snip one of them out, either R1 or R2, it doesn't make any difference. And that'll change it from being 2 3 ohms in parallel, which is 1.5 ohms, to being 3 ohms. So let's take a look at what the stock one is drawing in real life. There it is. And the meter says 94.8, so let's say 95 milliamps. 95 milliamps into 120 volt, that would be 11.88, let's call it 12 watts. They're claiming it'd be 14, it's 12, so they're a little under. But that gives us a reference what it is stock and how hard they're pushing the LEDs to get that 100-watt rating. So this one I've done, this is another 100-watt one, but I've already snipped out the one resistor. I took out R2 for no particular reason. And let's screw it in. And now this says 54.68, so let's call it 55 milliamps. And at 55 milliamps, because I snipped out one of the 3 ohm resistors, that would have you sitting at about 6.6 watts. So now you've got a bulb that's basically taking the same amount of power as the 60 watt version that they sold. It's giving me more light actually, because there were 18 LEDs, drawing less power. It's going to run a lot cooler because it's basically drawing half of what it was stock. So I guess what I'm saying is, since they're all going to be the same price, our dollar stores are now $1.25. If you're going to spend $1.25 on an LED bulb, spend your $1.25 on the 100-watt bulb, snip out one of the current sense resistors, use it as you would a standard 60-watt lamp, and this thing should last twice as long and give you the same amount of light as that 60-watt. You've got a much heavier duty current regulator in there. You've got 18 LEDs instead of just 8 to spread the heat and light out. It's going to be a whole lot better deal for you, at least here in the USA. So something to consider if you want to DIY a bulb. It's an easy thing to do. In fact, I might as well just do this other one while we're sitting here talking about it, because I'm going to stick these in some fixtures in the house and use them. So we take that and just grab yourself some snips, and again, it doesn't going to make any difference whether I take R1 or R2. They're in parallel. They're both the same resistance. Just remove one of them like that. And the hardest part of this whole thing is prying off these caps. You can see where I kind of nicked the plastic till I found them. I found as I go around them, I will find a place where I can get a small screwdriver in. Didn't get one there. Didn't get one there. Got one in there. And once you get the blade down in there and you pop it up, then you can pop the whole thing off. And it'll still, you see, fit back on tight enough once you've done that, that it'll stay together. So now we'll screw it in the old socket. Let's see what we're drawing. Okay, there we are, 54.8. So let's call it again 55 milliamps. So once again, we're sitting right in the old 11.88 watts. That was what it was, and what it would be now is about 6.6 watts if you do the math. Plenty bright and blinding to look at actually right now. So I think that's about all I have to say.